Just so everyone knows that we are now recording and we're live on YouTube, and we are awaiting one more board member.
All right, let's do this. It's a little after 7. We'll do some of the preliminaries, and we'll have to hold on the roll call until Peter gets here. But anyway, good evening, everyone. This is the December 9th meeting of the Danbury Zoning Board of Appeals, being held via a web-based host of Zoom. And I guess I'll read this one more time just to make sure we've dotted all the i's. Pursuant to Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 71, Section 19B, all electronic notices regarding land use applications and proceedings and any other applicable municipal proceedings as defined in this order can be substituted for the public notice, clerk filing, and signage for the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we still have the governor's blessings to do it this way. So with that said, I'll hold off on the roll call, but just to give the preamble as far as the public hearings themselves go, there will soon be, any minute now, a 5-person board, and any vote that's taken to either accept or decline a variance application must be a vote of 4, not a simple majority, but a vote of 4. When we start the public hearings, the applicant comes forward and presents their case. Then we ask for any others to come and speak in favor, and then we ask if there's any to come and speak against. If there is any opposition, then the applicant has the opportunity to come back and discuss and rebut any of the opposition that may have arisen. So that's kind of how it flows. And as soon, again, as we have our 5th person here, we will proceed. So hang on. Mary, while we're waiting, I guess I can just ask, as far as you know, do we have all of the applicants here that are on the agenda? We'll find out soon enough, but I just thought I'd keep rolling.
Mr. Moore, I'm sorry, I was letting Peter in.
Oh, okay.
As far, I believe it looks as if we do, except I haven't seen Attorney Braunheisen join for 12 Sunset Drive. Pardon me?
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Let me just rename you, Peter, so everybody knows who you are.
Okay.
All right, roll call. Again, I am Rod Moore, acting chair. I guess I didn't say that, acting chair for the meeting tonight. Mr. Rivas?
Present.
Mr. DeLucia?
Present.
Mr. Hannah?
Here.
Mr. Ribeiro?
Present.
Okay, all present. 5 members are present. The first order of business is to accept the minutes from November 18th. And we do have 3 here that were here for that meeting. So is there a motion to accept the minutes of November 18th?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of November 18th, 2021.
Motion made by Mr. DeLucia, second
the motion.
second by Ron Rivas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All 3. Okay, great. All right. We all, let me ask for a motion here to hear public hearings number 21-33. Capitola Road, 21-37, 12 Sunset Drive, and 21-38, 25 Winter Green Hill Road. Is there a motion to hear those 3 public hearings?
I
Three
make a
applications.
motion to hear 2133 Capitola Road, 2137 12 Sunset Drive, and 2138 Winter Green Hill Road.
Motion made by Mr. Hannah, second by
Second.
that motion.
second by Juan Rivas. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So a motion to open 21-3331 Capitola Road. LaVey, Mario, and Guizavelis, help me if, forgive me if I don't get that quite right. Reduce front yard setback from 40 feet to 11.2 feet and reduce side yard setback from 15 feet to 6.9. And allow a shed to be located within the front yard setback. Is there someone here to speak on behalf?
Excuse me, Mr. Moore. I see that the applicant has just joined.
Oh, okay.
It looks like she's connecting to the audio right now. Yes, she and
Right.
her husband are connecting right now. So
Okay.
if we can just give them a few moments.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like they're on 31 Capitola Road. You're the first on the agenda. Let me just reiterate the process for you, Chris, because we want to make sure it's clear. There's our 5 members here for the Boarding Zone Board of Appeals. The vote to either approve or deny your application must be at least 4 people, 4 of the 5. And you will have the opportunity to speak on behalf. And then there's anyone who wants to speak against your application has that opportunity. I don't know if you can hear me. It looks like you're still connecting. Can you hear me?
They're also muted.
And you're muted.
Hmm.
Jenny, could you unmute your microphone? The miracles of modern technology.
I know that she's been concerned about being able to join. Jenny, can you hear me? You have to unmute your microphone.
Press the space bar.
I think they're on the phone. Jenny, can you hear us
Okay.
now?
Could be. There you go. Can you hear us, Jenny?
Look like.
Well,
Jenny, we can see you. Can you hear us?
Now, yes, before I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
All
now
right.
you can. All right.
So Mr. Moore, you can. take over.
Okay. You are here tonight, 31 Capitola Road. And as I was trying to lay out the ground rules before, you get the opportunity to make your presentation as to why you need these 3 variances or why you want them. If there's anyone else that wants to speak in favor of that, we will ask them. If there's anyone that is here tonight to speak against your application, then we'll hear that. If someone does speak against your application, you would have the opportunity to discuss that and rebut that and answer those concerns. We have opened the public hearing just before you got on, and as long as this public hearing is open, we can receive comments from you and from anyone in the public, discuss. Once we close it to go into the voting session, then there's no further comments that we can ask for or that you can give from you or for anyone else. So once it's closed, and then we'll go into a voting session after that. Any questions?
No,
Okay, all right. So you are asking for basically three variances, correct? You're asking for allow a shed to be located within the front yards, setback to reduce the front yard setback from 40 to 11.2 feet and reduce side yard setback from 15 to 6.9 feet. This is for an existing shed. I guess my first question is, was this shed there when you built the house, or did you build the shed after you bought the house?
after.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is my Mario and my Jenny's husband. We're building after we build the house.
All right. Well, go ahead, and I will have more questions. So go ahead and explain your hardship and why you want this variance.
Before we build the shed, I asked my friend. He said we can build that shed 12 by 16. We don't need any permit because it's not bigger side. That's why I installed that corner. And after we tried to finish the inspections, they said we need a permit. If I know that, I never built that shed in that corner. So that's why I installed it there.
Yeah. It's always good to check with City Hall, because now you're coming to us and asking us to fix something that you created, a hardship that you created, and that's a challenge to be able to do that. Just so you know.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, and you listed as your hardship the fact that you want to legalize an existing shed.
Yeah.
I'll let others speak from the board.
I saw it. The property has two front yards. The topography on the behind the house, I guess, would be up from the cemetery side, is kind of very elevated and hard to. I thought, looking at that's might be the only place he could put the shed. So I think the two front yards, I think is the, from what I saw.
Let me pull that up here. Okay. Well, I'm not sure I would agree with that, but you can see, obviously, the house is house being located here, shed here. This is one of the variances.
The other street on the other side.
The other side. And then there's the cemetery down here. So let me shrink that a little bit, but I'm not sure I see where there's two frontages.
Yeah, there is on the other side.
There's a frontage to Barnum Road.
Yeah.
Up here, okay.
Capitola.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, up there, yes.
Barnum Road, yeah.
But I'm sorry, on the back side of the house, that's the other side of the yard. There's no way to put the shed there because the land is like up to here.
Yeah, it's elevated.
It's elevated,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mike,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
well, it's elevated from the Capitola up, and you go up the sideways driveway here, of course, the side driveway. But as you go towards the back of the house, how much does it go up or drop off as you go back, as you go over into?
That's a high hill.
Yeah.
It goes right up.
So it continues up, because I saw into here, looked through here, looked at it from the road. So I guess we're asking the question, where else could you put it?
I don't think he can put it in the back. It can go where it is now or in the other side toward Barnum Road. And then both of them are front yard.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. One of the questions I have for the applicant was when it looks like it was one of these prefabbed sheds. Did the company at any time let you know that you might need to get some permits for the shed being where it's located?
No, because I build it myself. I use that.
Okay, all right.
That's why.
So it didn't come built already. You built it yourself.
I build.
Okay.
right, any other questions? Is there anyone else here tonight to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here to speak against the application? No further comments from the board? Is there a motion to close public hearing 33? Sorry. Motion to close 2133.
I'm gonna zoom in. I cannot talk.
I make a motion to close application 21-33, 31 Capitola Road, Danbury, Connecticut.
All right, motion by Mr. Rivas, second by
I second.
Mr. Hannah. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go into the voting session. The motion to go into voting session on 2133.
I make a motion to go into voting session for application 21-33, 31 Capitola Road.
Mr. Rivas, motion, second by,
I second.
you raise your hand first. Mr. Rivero gets the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, all right. Excuse me. All right,
Be slow this time.
yeah. We have a shed that has the need of 3 variances. It's clear that the neighbors to the left of the house really don't care one way or the other. So we don't have to worry about them, but is there any other concerns or objections that any of you have?
I guess what it comes down to is a forgiveness variance. I mean,
Yeah,
and in all honesty, where else would you put it? And you know, I think there could be an argument for that, you know, the topography on the Barnum side is elevated in the back, so it'd be kind of for that reason. So I guess what we have to vote here is for forgiveness variance. Yeah, I think is the real issue.
would you like to make a motion? And when you do, whoever, Peter, if you do, try and clarify the reasons if you're going to vote to approve it try and embellish the hardship a little bit like you just did for the record.
Yeah. Well, if there was a better place to put it, I would say, hey, you know, you're gonna have to rip it up and do it again, and you know, and what have you. But looking at the property, you know, it's not really, you know, many options there, you know. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, it's like, you know, he built it, you know, without permit, and now we're just gonna vote to see if he can keep it there.
Okay, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve 21-33, 31 Capitola Road, Lalve, Mario, and Gayasaka Jenny, to reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 11.2 and reduce side yard setback from 15 to 6.9, section 3G, 3D, allow a shed to be located within the front yard setback.
All right, motion by Mr. DeLuca, second by Mr. Ribeiro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was as per plan submitted.
Yes.
Plan submitted. Thank you.
Aye.
Yeah, we don't want it floating around. We keep it right there.
I had to be reminded last meeting, so I just I'm just
Yes, sir.
mentioning that. Aye.
All right. Vote is unanimous. Correct. Yes, vote is unanimous. So thank you very much. You'll hear from about 15 days from City Hall with your approval and some paperwork to complete your legalization of your shed. All right. Next application is 21-37, 12 Sunset Drive. Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary, I don't think Greg's gotten in yet. He's
Yes,
in?
I did let him in.
Yeah, I don't see him here.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said he's been waiting in the waiting room for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
I-
he
all right.
was there for a second, then he went back to the waiting room.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry
Thank you.
about that. This is. I just let someone else in. Maybe he's using another computer.
Yeah, he's pretty tech savvy, so that's very odd. I think he was there like 5 of 7 or so.
Yeah, he came in just after we opened the meeting,
Oh,
and I
okay.
let him in. And I was like, that's good. He's here.
Greg is representing Sunset Drive. Is that right?
Correct.
Sean, do
Yeah,
you see?
I got him on the phone. He said he's trying to get in, but he can't get in. He's still getting that he's in the waiting room.
Yeah, I don't have anybody in the waiting room. Let's see.
Nick?
I'm sorry about this. I don't see. Oh, here he is again. He's back.
Okay, I think she said she sees you.
So he's joining.
All right.
Thanks for your patience, everyone.
All right, Greg, we'll talk to you.
There he is.
There he is. Okay.
All right, so is there a motion to open 21-3712 Sunset Drive, to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open 21-3712 Sunset Drive, Sandy Island. Braun Eisen Greg Esquire, Agent RA20 Zone, Section 4A3, reduce rear yard setback from 35 feet to 4 feet for deck expansion.
Is there a second? Peter made a motion, second.
I second that motion.
Juan seconds. Okay. I guess Mr. Braunheisen, you're here to represent tonight, so have at it. Did we lose him again?
I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like Greg Bronstein is in the waiting room. Is it
All
possible?
right. I'm going to go back to the waiting room. He is.
Maybe you have to give him direction.
I don't know.
He's in.
All right, Greg, can you hear us? You're muted.
But I can hear you.
Okay.
Hey,
Sorry for the trouble. I don't know if it's on my end or yours. Sorry,
All
guys.
right, we are ready for you. 412
Okay.
Sunset.
For the record, Greg Bronheisen, attorney with an office at 148 Deer Hill Avenue in Danbury. I'm here tonight representing Sandy Island LLC and its sole owner, Greg Santamero, who owns property located at 12 Sunset Drive here in Danbury. We are, in accordance with the application that I submitted, we are seeking a variance for the rear yard setback to modernize the property, install some steps. The hardship is the backyard is the 440 line with owned by First Light. And as you can see from the map, there's already a deck and some encroachments into that line that we have cleared with First Light when Mr. Santamero bought the property. There you go, Rod. That's it.
All right. All right. You know, I have a summary of there were some questions regarding the variances already on this property, the 3 previous variances. I got a quick little summary here, just for the record, Greg, if you don't mind me reading them, because
Sure.
inquiring minds wanted to know or remember. So
Sure.
this is dated, excuse me, June 9th, 1988. ZBA Board of Appeals made the following unanimous decision: voted to grant the applicant Lila Rasamni to reduce minimum rear yard from 35 feet to 6 feet for the following reasons. The home currently exists and the applicant is extending an existing deck, which is currently non-conforming. Then on February 8th, 1996, a variance was granted to reduce the rear yard from 35 feet to 15 feet for a new addition and 35 feet to 9 feet for an existing deck. The reason being, this is the only place on the property where the addition can be put due to the location of the septic system, the proximity to Candlewood Lake. Third variance was January 10th, 2013. ZBA voted to approve the following, I lost it here, to reduce open area deck from 25 feet to 17.3 feet for the proposed office addition. The reason was given for the decision was the hardship is topography, the location of the septic and the ledge on the site. They'll not be a detriment to the welfare and safety. So 3 extensions over the years, creeping ever closer. So you're here tonight for number 4. So go ahead.
Yes, Chairman Moore. Again, it's the same hardship as was for the variance granted in the past, is that, you know, it's the rear yard is the 440 line owned by First Light. So you're not going into an adjoining homeowner's backyard. You know, you got the First Light. And as I've said, all these encroachments have been cleared with First Light. You can see the beach there, the deck, the shed. And this, what my client is proposing to do is just modernize the house, make it more functional with the existing deck and steps that currently exist.
All right. And hardship being?
The hardship being that the rear yard setback is same as the previous variances that were granted.
Mhm.
That the 440 line is the backyard. Rear yard setback, yeah.
I'm not sure that you could consider having the 440 line in your backyard a hardship, but at least technically it is, but visually it's not so much. But anyway.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're saying it's almost a benefit.
Yes, yes.
But that's how these lakefront properties are, Chairman Moore.
I know. Everyone claims that, well, it's really, you know, it's really, no, it's really not the land, but it really looks like it's the land that belongs to it.
Correct.
And this is all the way around the lake. I'm well aware. So, all right. Anything else? Any questions for the?
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. So basically, we're doing the same variance. This is the 4th time for the same variance to just get closer to the contour line, or was one different? Was one for the side yard setback, or
one was different? I think for an addition, Mr. DeLucia.
Yeah, that one was different. Yeah.
Can you talk about the deck a little bit? Is that whole deck is existed or you add into the deck?
Well, the deck, as you can see,
The
we're
shade-
just adding some steps, Mr. Hanna. We're just adding some steps to modernize it and make it more functional with the connection to the deck as it already exists and encroaches into the 440 line, which has been approved by First Light.
So an additional 4 feet then, right?
Correct.
I mean, I have some questions. I understand that it may seem minor with just the 4 feet, but this is a very large deck. I mean, it goes from the one end of the house to the other. It encompasses the spa, the gazebo. You know, again, this is with the you know, the addition being one of the variances given back in the past. This is essentially a 4th variance that's coming up to the board to be granted. And, you know, again, my thing is, if you can please explain, you know, again, after the 3 variances being granted that, you know, involve the deck and using the 440 line as the excuse, can you please, state your case a little bit better? Because I'm having a hard time, figuring out if this is really needed or if this is just something more, for, more leisure, more, the benefit of the homeowner, not so much, a necessity, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, the existing deck exists. We're just trying to make it more functional, Mr. Rivas. And, the existing, if you're looking at the map to, make it in line with, you're saying it's a large deck, but that already exists. That's not what we're here to talk about. Where it connects with the existing deck. We're trying to make it more functional and safer, actually. And I know you were out there today because you called me.
Yes. Well, I mean, I understand that the existing deck has been there, but essentially we're adding to that existing deck. Again, I'm having, you mentioned safety. The deck, it's a beautiful deck. It's a beautiful house, a beautiful property. But again, and I'm having difficulty understanding how this is a necessity and it involves safety and the well-being of the property.
Well,
and then, I understand that there's been approval with the first light with the existing deck and the two other decks that are on the 440 line themselves.
correct.
So it's just, so we're just, I get it that it's, you're stating your case, but I feel like we're just getting closer and closer. And will this be the last one, or should we expect, more variances in the future in regards to this deck?
It will be the last one because it's trying to connect it to the existing deck, Mr. Rivas.
All right. So that's the end game is
Correct.
all right.
I have a question here.
Yes, Mr. Hanna.
The deck in front the addition, how wide it is? How far it go from the addition toward the 440 line?
I'd have to get.
Yeah, the application said reduce it 35 feet to 4 feet, but I don't know if that's where the.
Yeah, but that's not what he's asking, Tony. He's asking
I'm
about
asking how wide the deck is.
how wide it is in total from where to where, Mr. Hanna?
From the addition toward the lake, how far the deck sticks out toward the 440 line, whatever you call it?
I'm just looking at the map. I see that the corner is 17 feet at the one end and then 9 feet at the other.
Hmm.
There's always a little rectangle or hexagonal
Yeah.
deck that's encroaching on that line.
Yeah, those are pre-existing. Like I
Yeah.
said, we've already,
Right.
approved by first light, and that, it's not so much the deck that we're asking for, it's these steps to connect to the existing deck.
Mhm. So these steps rise, there's a rise there from the beach. So these steps go up. These steps go up the rise to here. So at the top of this rise, that's basically a couple of steps that kind of forms a deck. And then there's a gap between that and the,
Oh, it's steps,
main
it's
main
steps,
deck here.
yeah. The deck's there, and then there's steps, and we're trying to, make it in conformity and ease of access to the,
Well, let me ask you this, attorney. So it's going to be joined. The deck is going to be joined with the existing deck that was already granted by First Light.
yeah, the steps are gonna lead up to the,
They're connected,
to
in other
that.
words, right?
So it leads down to the beach that the homeowner uses.
No,
which
no,
is
I know,
waterfront property.
but where you're asking for the variance for the 4 feet, that will now be connected, right?
Where the steps are.
Where the
Yeah, the
steps,
steps to the steps to lead down to the beach.
the lead
Yeah, if
down
I
to
could-
there. So now
if I could jump in,
you're asking for a variance to be connected to a non-conforming, deck that was there, grandfathered in, what have you. This is not a separate, just a 4 feet variance you're asking for.
Yeah, it's 4 feet from the property line.
But you're gonna join the deck though. You're gonna,
If I could jump in for a second, please.
Yeah, that my
there-
client,
There's no joint in between the
there's
two.
no joint, there's a space.
When you're at the top of that deck, that smaller two rectangular shaped deck and walking towards the house, there's a bit of grass there. And the problem
Mr.
with-
Santa, would just
Yes.
state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Greg Santamano. How are you? I'm the
Thank you.
homeowner.
Yeah.
okay.
So that deck that's been there, the one to the left, we're not touching that at all. That just remains. We're just extending the deck out a little bit that goes around the house because then there is a lot of rot and we had the inspection. They said you definitely have to support this a little bit better. So we thought that might be a better solution than taking the whole thing down. So I hope that, but that deck that's to the left, we're not touching that, nor are we.
It's not gonna,
touching
it's
the
not gonna be
space.
joined together. It's gonna be.
Correct. It's never going to be
One
fully together.
continuous deck then.
We're not even touching that deck on the left. It's just that little darker gray area that's on the left
Okay.
of.
So there'll remain a space between that then.
Correct.
Correct, yeah, you can see it
Exactly.
on the map, yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here in opposition? All right. Any further questions or comments before we close the public hearing?
I just, I'm just gonna state the comment. I just feel like they're squaring off the deck more than it is the safety concern or the 440, and that's in my opinion. But I just wanted to state that for the record.
Well, the other thought that comes to my mind too is, these hardships need to be something unique to this particular property. And as we've already said, there's houses in this lake community as well as all around the lake who kind of share that same condition of that 440 line and the temptation to enjoy all the beautiful first light land, that's there between the 440 line and the actual water line. So the uniqueness of this particular hardship, I'm not 100% sold on.
Well, I would say, Chairman Moore, that the hardship is the 440 line and that as my client stated, the ledge on the property as to where you can put things and safely access. I mean, you're right. Everyone with a lakefront property does want to do what they can to access the lake. That's what they bought it for. And I would say to the commission that, having lived in this area for my whole life and, been doing this work for 20 years, almost all of the lake properties have these kinds of, issues with, intruding, their decks, et cetera, sheds encroaching on the 440 line. And that's why it's a hardship.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to close 21-37?
I make a motion to close 2137.
All right, Mr. Hannah makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLucia. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there a motion to open voting session on 21-37?
I make a motion to open the voting session on 21-37.
All right, motion made by Mr. Hannah, second by
Second the motion.
Mr. Rivas. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, what say you, gentlemen? Anyone else want to speak up?
I hear everything everybody's saying, but I don't see where it's a detriment to anybody. It's improving his situation, but certainly, it's not hurting any of the neighbors or the public or, overall, I think it is an improvement, and that is true of all lake houses, that they are very unique. So
I understand that, but I can see it if this was maybe the first or second time, but essentially this is the fourth time around that they're coming with this. So, and I agree that it isn't a detriment to the neighborhood or the property itself. Again, I was there today. The property is very beautiful. The house is very beautiful, and but again, it's we see it all the time. The lake properties coming on to the board and asking for these variances, and sometimes it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a beautiful property, and a homeowner's right to enjoy to the fullness is very understandable. My only issue is the continuous variances for the same type of thing. I mean, pretty soon we're going to end up with bungalows out in the water, like the Maldives or something. So for me, I don't know if we have the authority to do this. If we were to grant this variance, it would have to be the very last for this particular thing. For me to consider it.
I understand, Mr. Delusion. I've stated on the record that it would be the last, and for the record, it's the first time my client has come in for a variance.
Well, the previous owner came in before. That's understandable. But in other words, we can't keep, whether owners change it continually, go back to the well, so to speak. That's the only issue I have. Other
Okay,
than
for
that,
the record, it'll be the last time I
okay.
come in.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and you're the only attorney in town, right?
right.
The only one Mr. Santamero will use.
Okay. That settles it then. All right. All right. I share some mixed feelings, but is anyone prepared to make a motion?
Well, everybody is welcome to, chime in what they like, but I'm going to make a motion to approve 2137 12 Sunset Drive, Sandy Island, to reduce the rear yard setback from 35 feet to 4 feet for a deck expansion per plan submitted.
All right.
Sorry.
No, Mr. Chairman, I was going to ask to Peter DeLucia's comments, and I don't know if Sean or would be able to comment. Could there be something put in or in the vote that it be restricted to this last variance to the property as far as when it comes to the deck?
I don't think the board can restrict future variance applications, but I think the board has made it clear to the owner and to his attorney that they're not going to be entertaining this again. So the minutes will be available to be read by future board members, and I'm sure it'll be distributed just like Mary did before. She sent out the previous variances. So it's definitely on the record because you guys put it on the record. But I don't think,
like Rod, when Rod read the previous ones, would that show up if somebody were to read it again for a fifth time, that we all agreed it'd be the last time, or?
That way you can vote in the future. So
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
All right. I just wanted to mention, if you wanted to just, in your motion, Tony, just add per plan submitted, because we spent a lot of time on those plans. I don't want to leave them out.
No, I did say that, but
Oh, you did?
plan
Okay.
submitted.
And I apologize. I just wanted to get clarification to see if that was something that was possible.
All
No,
right.
that's a good question. That was a good
All right.
question.
Yes.
All right. Is there a second on that motion?
I second.
You did. Joseph seconded. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Points.
Well, we thrashed that around. That's good. Okay. Next and last. Application number 21-38, and it's the last for this year as well. Variance to, and I will, it doesn't say this on the application, but I'll just add it in as I read it. variance of from 30 feet to 18 feet requested on the side of property to accommodate an 18 by 30 foot on-ground pool. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on this?
I make a motion to open 21-3825 Winter Green Hill Road, Nijam and Sons, Kelly James, agent RA 80 zone, to reduce side yard setback from 30 feet to 12 feet for on-ground pool.
All right, Mr. DeLucia made motion, second.
I
Second
second.
the motion.
All right, second by Mr. Hannah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, for the applicant, please come up, state your name and make your presentation. So,
How's it going? My name is James from Nijam and Sons.
okay,
Thank you guys for taking the time to meet with us today. So we're applying for a variance. We initially planned to put the pool in a different location. It was actually approved on the right side of the property. But once we got out there and we were able to locate the septic, it appears that the septic is in a different location than what we believed based upon the septic as-built. So that only leaves us one other location to place the pool, which is what you guys see on the proposed pool on the A2 survey.
all right. So you're saying originally it was on the other side of the property, back behind the septic up in here, is that?
Yeah, we initially believed that the septic was further down based upon the septic as-built.
Okay,
The customer had applied for the permit on her own previously, and it was approved in a location that it can actually go.
and so where the red dot is that where the original one was?
Further, it was like off the driveway, basically where the field one is on the right.
Okay. All right, so
Yeah,
here,
we thought that,
All right.
the septic was further down. based
yeah,
upon-
okay, got it, all right. All right, so hardships?
Yeah, so basically, the hardship would be that we can't put it where we initially intended to. There are other locations, obviously behind the septic fields. That is all woods. It's pretty steep. But the main thing is, there are wetlands about 300, 400 feet away, and it's just all woods. And, clearing out, 60, 70 trees to put the pool is just, kind of changes the neighborhood appearances a little bit. Too much.
All right, because I am,
And the
like you
location that
probably
we-
have, I'm sorry, go ahead. I am like you probably
No, go ahead,
have
I'm sorry.
done, as looking for other locations because this is close and
Mhm.
it is concerning. And it's also not that it needs to be it's not a variance, but it's also very visible from the road where that would be placed.
Yeah, there
But
would be
it's-
plantings. I'm sorry,
Alright.
there's a lag. There would be plantings in front of the pool, after the fence that would block it from the road.
Okay.
Block the view from the road.
Alright.
They want their privacy, just as much as you guys don't want to see a pool from the road.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Kelly?
I have a question. What if you turn the pool around a little bit, that give a little more, that corner where it's 12 feet
Mhm.
can show a little more?
Yeah, so we can actually, as you said, tilt the pool a little bit,
Yeah,
and get it to like, say, 15 feet. The surveyor was a little safe with what he did there. Because we're not, we want to locate the fields and, make sure we maintain that 10-foot setback.
All right. Yeah, that would be helpful if you could swing the kidney bean up that way a little bit.
Yeah, we certainly can.
Any other questions from the board? All right, anyone else here to speak in favor of this application?
My name is Gary Stanford. I'm
Okay.
the neighbor right across from Mr. Kava. And my suggestion, of course, originally was to, for all parties concerned, additional shrubbery to give privacy and seclusion to the proposed pool. But speaking with the representative from BJ, to move that kidney bean out a little bit more, that might give the additional privacy requested. So that would be a good opportunity if all possible.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we're actually planning on having just to elaborate on what neighbor said, her name, flipping across the the back house line, but also the neighbor, the Jack's property line as well. They would like to use plantings to really kind of hide the pool as much as possible.
Okay.
So
So if we were to stipulate some conditions like that with an approval, if we were to go that way, would you consider that?
and a greenery.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. We met with the neighbor met with Mr. Check, who is opposing the permit. And I was on the phone with him going over everything. Were any concerns that the neighbors have, we're more than willing to meet those with anything that we can do to kind of calm their concerns.
Okay. All right. Anyone else speaking in favor of this application? All right. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Michael Check and Yvonne Check.
And then Dominic Del Biondo as well.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Mary,
Now, Mr. Check, you have presented a very well-researched and reasoned opposition. So there's a lot in there. So if you could, I can bring it up if you want, or you can. It's a PowerPoint presentation. If you can share your screen, you can do that as well. But I'll let you proceed, just to let you know that we're prepared to listen to what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mary, is it possible for me to share my screen? So I think somebody would have to unshare what's
Yep.
there.
Let me stop.
Mr.
Yep.
Moore, can you? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Large, and let me make that small. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Michael Check, here with my wife Yvonne Check, and together we own 27 Wintergreen Hill Road, the parcel most directly impacted by the proposed variance. We are in total opposition to this request. Number one, we don't believe that it's met the legal qualifications for a variance. And number two, we have numerous ways that we'd like to show you in the PowerPoint presentation and quickly discuss where our welfare would be negatively impacted. You have the formal letter in your packet. It does reference the zoning regulations themselves, the application itself, and Robert Fuller's land use law and practice. The few points I'd like to make before I go into the PowerPoint slides is obviously 11B1, which is the section on variances. And I'm, by the way, just summarizing as opposed to reading the letter, because I don't think anybody wants us to do that.
Thank you.
But the ZBA is not supposed to grant a variance unless it can reasonably find that owing to conditions especially affecting the parcel but not generally affecting the district in which it is situated, a literal enforcement of the regulations would result in exceptional difficulty or unusual hardship. So point number one is, for us, this is a swimming pool, which is a nice to have, not something like a septic system, which is a must have for occupancy. So we have trouble figuring where exceptional difficulty or unusual hardship is even in the discussion here. Second, topographical conditions are not especially affecting this parcel, and we'll talk more about this in the PowerPoint. But the entire Wintergreen Hill Road district is covered with an overabundance of rock outcroppings, ledge rock, steep grades, and uneven topography, and all that accentuated by large old growth trees. Virtually every neighbor has this set of conditions, and in fact, some neighbors have a much worse set of conditions. Subsection C talks about financial loss resulting from the regulations does not constitute the cause for the application for a variance. As you just heard the agent for the applicant say, there is another spot on the site where this pool could be located without needing any variance from the setback requirement. And it's, what they have said is it's basically a financial orientation as to why they're not pursuing that, because it would require a massive removal of trees to develop it. And that is not grounds for a variance under subsection C. Subsection D says, the minimum variance necessary should be pursued to allow reasonable use, and obviously 18 feet out of 30 feet is 60% of the setback, so that's certainly not reasonable. And frankly, we're going to go in and show visual representation as to why, even if you moved or twisted the pool around a little bit, that's not the case. The pool's edge, as it appears right now, would be 12 feet from the property line, so any plantings would obviously be even closer to the property line. So this creates a major nuisance for our privacy. And finally, subsection F, which talks about public health, safety, and welfare, it would greatly and absolutely affect our welfare negatively. Our deck, our outdoor deck, is our sole outdoor enjoyment area on the property, and it's located, as you'll see, at the edge of the house. It's closest to the proposed pool. So in terms of welfare, aesthetically, we'll have a loss of privacy, the 30-foot setback that's an expectation in an RA 80 zone. The woodsy side yard, which was frankly a determining factor in our purchase, would be ruined. And not only would you see the pool from our porch, but you would see it from the pool, plants notwithstanding. You would see it from the road. They've talked about a fence and shrubbery and all that. Our deck is 3 to 4 times higher than a 4-foot fence, or about 16 feet above. The roadway is also elevated, so it would have to be some pretty high shelving to get past that, or some coverage. Noise is actually of equal concern. I mean, let's face it, it's a swimming pool. You're going to have people swimming, splashing, diving, playing, laughing. If it was my pool, I'd have music out there. And you have the pump running 24/7, and again, so close to our property line, this is an infringement. Lighting, nighttime lighting, is something we don't deal with right now. Damage during installation. Now, we did have a conversation with James & Sons, and they say they do not blast rock, but they have to manually remove ledge rock and rock outcroppings that are all over that area. And because they're so close to the property line, it's a vibration situation, and we know that that's going to cause some sort of impact on the foundation and on our walls, which we may not see immediately, and you may not see the physical cracks now, and they may develop later. And last but certainly not least is the future marketability of our property, which will be impacted greatly by such an encroachment. Now, to supplement these comments, if I could, please, let me go to the PowerPoint presentation. And I just want to start off with an overview and point out a couple of things, and hopefully my mouse will work here. Yes. So this is the road as it is right now, the RA 80 zone. And what you see is between each and every house, there is this wooded buffer that exists. And it's a characteristic aesthetically of this property. And even inside the circle, you see these wooded buffers existing within that area. And this is something that is, like I said, a characteristic. We have one pool on the property. It's at 33 Wintergreen Hill Road. And it's not visible at all from the road. It's an in-ground pool, and it's tucked away behind the house and never required a variance because they put it on the property without a variance, without consideration for that. Our proposal that we're talking about tonight, though, would suddenly change this. And the reason we did photographic evidence as well is because this looks like, oh, well, what are you worried about? This is covered by trees. Actually, all it does is it covers the aerial view. It doesn't cover the view from the road, and we'll show you the view from our house here as we get further down this presentation. You've seen the proposal. Frankly, the situation here, I just copied and pasted that. I didn't make it any larger, any smaller, but that's the area where they're saying that it would take a massive removal of trees. And with all due respect, that's not our problem. But putting it where it is would be our problem. And again, 12 feet off the property line, which is excessive, for a setback variance. The view from the porch, this is how it looks right now. This is the open space, this is the woods, this is how we enjoy it. And so this is the approximate property line, this is where the pool would be, this is our porch, and again, our sole outdoor area for enjoyment. So we're gonna be right near this. In order to give you a sense of what it would look like, I have to turn the table a little bit. So turning the survey 90 degrees, you get to see, looking from our house, the red arrow, looking at the pool and then looking at the applicant's house. This is what it looks like overhead, but this is, and this is just to show you, this is not at all aggrandized. This is the house, this is the house, the pool comes off here, the pool comes off here, and we're right over here. Looking at it this way, this pool is going to be right in this area here. And this is taken from about a third of the way to the middle of our porch, looking out over this way. When you go to the edge of the porch, you can see that we're going to be right on top of this. And as I said earlier, we've got 16 feet in height overlooking what would be a 4-foot fence, is what we were told on the phone. And, now hearing some shrubbery, but they're probably going to have to take down some of these trees here anyway to put this in. And even if they don't, it's going to be a major disruption. Turning from the porch to the road, this is, you see on the survey plan, the discussion of the wooden ties. Well, these are the wooden ties, but you can't see them so well there. You can see them much better when you get a little bit closer. And then again, when you take their survey map and plot out what this would look like, you see that the pool would start just inside the line, and that's just inside the line there, and would extend beyond those wooden ties, which is, extending just beyond the wooden ties. So this is the view you would get from the road. Yes, above the tree limbs do cover, but from the road it's very clear. And even with a shrub-based siding there, you're still going to see it from that area. And you're certainly going to hear it. Now, the terrain in the last part of the PowerPoint presentation, I think everybody on this call has probably driven up Anthack Road, and you know that huge, drop-off that's there. Well, this is all part of the same outcropping, rock outcropping that goes up behind Joe's Hill Road and comes up toward Wintergreen Hill Road. Well, this is the lay of the land, literally and figuratively, in this area. So the applicant's house is right about here, ours is right next to it, and you can see this is not unique to their property, which is a requirement for a variance, is that they have a unique situation. They do not have a unique situation. This is in fact worse for some of their neighbors than what they have. The option exists to put this pool elsewhere on the property. It's just a decision because there's too many trees that have to be taken down, a financial consideration for moving it elsewhere. So that ends the PowerPoint presentation. Some final comments. Number one, I want to respond to something that Mr. Kelly from Me, James and Sons said when he talked about wetlands. I would note that on the application in your question where it says, are there wetlands or watercourses on or near this parcel, it says no. And I'm not aware of any wetlands. I'm not going to say there aren't because I didn't actually study that, but I'm not aware of any, and that certainly is not marked in the application, which is, I think, a problem legally. But just to wrap this up, we think, and in fact we know from the law, that the burden is on the applicant to show cause why a variance is required in order to avoid an exceptional difficulty or an unusual hardship. Legally, our view is this has not occurred. Topography is not unique to the parcel. Financial hardship is not grounds for a variance. We feel this is a self-imposed hardship. The applicant wants to install a swimming pool. We can understand that. They say they want to avoid the cost of doing so in a heavily wooded section of the property. Again, not really our problem. In fact, not having a pool would in no way harm the property value of the applicant. It would keep it at status quo, exactly where it is now. So in conclusion, we feel a variance would enhance the applicant's property value at the expense of our property value. An RA 80 zone entitles us to the expectation of a minimum setback requirement. Infringement, especially 60%, can and should only be permitted for very specific legal conditions which we don't believe exist, and we respectfully call on the board to reject this request. Thank you.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Check before we?
How many feet from your deck to the proposed pool? Because I can't, from the map I have, I can't, it doesn't show it.
I've not measured it, but there's a 30-yard setback on our property, and this will be 12 feet, so I'm assuming about 40 feet
Okay.
from the edge of the pool to our deck.
I have a question here for Mr. Kelly. I think it's right behind the septic system. If the pool was approved there usually is the reserve septic goes there.
Mhm.
Can the pool be there on a reserve septic field?
Yeah, so the area behind the pool, behind the septic, that couldn't be used for a reserve septic field because it's all trees, as far as I know.
But you have to keep it clear. You can't put a pool there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh. And that pool you're planning to put, is it above ground or in the ground?
Yeah, so the picture that Mr. Check showed was a little misleading. I can kind of show you guys a picture of what we're looking to build. See, that right there is an on-ground pool. It's not for an on-ground pool.
Yeah.
I can show you again. And I could show you what another one looks like. It's not a 4-foot high monstrosity, 52 inches tall. We're going into the slope, so it's literally in ground for almost the majority of the pool.
Hmm.
So it's not sticking up in the air and being a visual eyesore, like Mr. Check was, kind of drawing, or I think what he might believe it looks like.
Any other questions? Anyone else here to speak against this application?
Yes, this is Dominic Del Biondo, and thank you for that. I don't have anything to present as I've been in contact with Mike, and I was aware of his presentation before I joined the call and fully support everything that he said. In summary to his presentation, I'm opposed to it only because this change impacts my property and the potential value, and that's where I'm coming from. I've owned a built-in pool in many locations that I've lived in before. I love built-in pools. I love pools in general. They're fun. And I love my neighbors. Something else I just want the board to understand too is when I came here, I was considering possibly putting a pool in my backyard. And to hit this notion of, it's too expensive to take trees down, there's also an affordable community and hack option where we have our own community built-in pool that you put in money. I put in $3,000 as a bond, and it cost me $600 a year to enjoy a built-in pool where I can have family parties and collaborate with the neighbors, etc. So I'm really not seeing any hardship here at all, and it's another affordable option if the budget is a concern. As far as what the pool installer said here, I'm not buying it. If you walk our property and you look at this house, it is a complete downward slope to the house, pretty steep. That whole side of the street is a significant downward slope. So any discussion about shrubberies to provide peace, tranquility, and look nice, it's going to have to be significantly tall shrubberies, which again is going to impact the look. So, and that's really all I had. So, and again, as an addition to what Mike said.
All right, Mr. Del Biondo, your property in relation to
applicant.
The applicant, yeah, the 23 one, I don't know, yeah. 23.
Yeah, I'm right across. I'm
Right across the street, okay.
from- Right across the
Right.
street from Mike, and I'm diagonally across the street from the applicants, and I enjoy all of their Christmas lights that they put up.
Okay. All right. All right. Anyone else here to speak in opposition? All right, final come back to you. I know you kind of addressed some of them concerns already, but if there's anything else, Mr. Kelly, or you want to state in rebuttal to any of this, it's your chance.
Yeah, the main rebuttal is it's not necessarily a financial hardship for the tree removal. We can certainly do that. It's more that it changes the whole neighborhood. The look, as Mr. Check said, it has a woodsy aesthetic. Removing all the trees in the backyard to put a pool there would totally change that aesthetic. Also, if the noise issue for the pumps, that's not really an accurate issue. The pumps are not that loud, and if we needed to, we could do a variable speed pump that runs at 800 RPM and is quiet as a fan. They're very quiet. There's no way he could hear it from his house. As far as the vibrations and ledge, we're only going 2 feet in the ground here. We're using the slope to our advantage. It's very unlikely that we're going to hit ledge there. It was already dug up, as you guys can see from the photos. There is a wood chip area in there, and we're only going 2 feet in the ground. We're using the slope to our advantage. So we're not going that deep. What else here? If I could show you guys some photos. Let's see here. This is a photo, from ground level, pool level, facing his house. He has no visible windows that are looking out at it. It's really just the deck that would be looking out at it. It's not going to be an eyesore. There'll be a fence there blocking it, and he's not going to be able to see it from his see the pool from his house on the deck.
Excuse me, may I have time for rebuttal, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you. There are several misstatements in there. Number one, there is a window facing there. It is in our basement room, and it's where I actually record podcasts because I do podcasting. The RF motor, I wasn't even going to bring this up because I didn't want to get into this level of detail, but the RF radio frequency that comes from every motor, and particularly a pool motor, whether it's variable speed or not, will be picked up by the very sensitive microphones that I use, and will not allow me to use that room for recording for 4 or 5 months of the year. And I want to also kind of steer the conversation away from, shrubbery and looks and whatnot. Folks, we're talking about the noise impact as well. We're talking about huge noise impact with the pool. You know what that is. And we do not have that right now. And in fact, it would be the only location on this street where that wooded buffer would be destroyed and be disturbed. And this will directly impact, I've already checked with my realtor, this will directly impact the property value of our house going forward for future marketability, just as it would yours too. I mean, think about it. Somebody put something in 12 feet from your property line when you had 30 feet. It's going to impact you. And also, when he says if you remove a lot of trees in the back of the yard, how that's going to hurt. The back of their yard borders a 7-acre open space parcel of land with nothing but rocks there. So there is no impact to that side of the property. The only impact on this variance is to our side of the property. And it's absolutely, from our perspective, completely unfair and completely a nuisance and obnoxious and not allowed under the rules and regulations. It's not a hardship. You can live without a pool. You can't live without a septic system. This is not causing them any undue harm. This is not at all. We were going to put a pool in our property, but we've got the same ledge rock and trap rock issue that they have on their property. We couldn't do it. And it's not even so much the trees as it is the rock. And so for Mr. Kelly to insinuate that it's not really going to be that big a problem with the rock, because there's not that much rock, there's rock everywhere. There's rock everywhere. So this would be the case. So those are my rebuttal points. Thank you.
All right, we got this. Let this get to be a little bit of a debate, but in fairness, final word for the applicant. Anything else? And then we will close the public hearing.
Oh yeah, having a pump anywhere would affect, if I'm not an expert on what he was talking about, but the pump being, anywhere on the property seems like it would affect the same, I don't see how that makes a difference. That's basically, all I have. It just really just cutting down all those trees is just, going to affect the aesthetic of the property and the neighborhood.
All right. Any other questions that the board has before we close it to public comment?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I walked away for a second to grab my regulations book as it went to the fors and against here. I do have a question. If the pool was to be put in the southerly eastern part of the property, behind the septic fields, do you have an approximate amount of trees that would need to be cut?
Yeah, between six, it's hard to say exactly, but 60 to 70.
60 to 70. All right.
Yeah. You're gonna have to clear the entire backyard. You need sunlight.
I did walk the property. It looks like you're cutting some trees down on that property line.
Those fell.
Yeah, I saw two or three that were spray painted.
We're not going to cut those down. We were considering it, but we're not going to.
Okay, so you're not cutting them down.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dominic, and just 15 seconds. James, I would really challenge you on that, because what's not adding up to me, my family's in construction, is where you're looking to put the pool now. It's not, there are trees there as well. And if that size pool went to the back behind the septic, I really don't see how you get to 70 trees having to be taken down. I really would love to understand that better.
Yeah,
I saw the property, maybe not 70 trees, but there's a lot of trees back there.
Okay.
40, 50 at least. I would say.
Okay,
it's not just the trees for the space. It's also, you got to open up a bigger area so you have sunlight.
For the sunlight.
And how are you going to get the sunlight on the side of the house?
There's plenty of sunlight there already.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No, there's not.
No, there's not. The sun comes over the house and goes to the other side. There's all trees there.
That's correct.
But there's plenty for them to enjoy the pool. We don't need to cut any trees down.
I don't think that's accurate at all. And I see the sun.
All right,
I work in my house. I see the sun come up every day. I know exactly how it drops.
All right, we're getting into the weeds and the trees.
I wasn't done with my questioning.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I think Mary has, before I continue, I think Mary has a question.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, but I did notice that Lourdes Cava had her hand raised. I believe she's the homeowner. So I don't know if you want to acknowledge her. The hand has been raised for quite some time.
I just have one more question, and if Mr. Moore would like to then go to her, I'd be more than happy. I have a question, and this I'll ask Sean. I noticed that where they're proposing the pool, would that be in, again, I know a few applications back, they had, we had to inquire about the health department, the pool being in the proximity of the septic fields. Is that a concern as to where it is?
Yeah, that's why it's going there. I
mean, it's still, if you put a ruler to the survey, you're talking maybe 2 inches on the survey here, 3 inches. So that's 40, 60 feet. And on the actual property, is that enough space for that type of pool, Sean, going in there?
I won't go out of my wheelhouse with that, but, it'd have to be reviewed whether it's on the left part or behind the septic system. That would be, again, for health department, but I know there is a minimum requirement. I won't quote it because it's not my thing. But yeah, there is a concern, there will be a concern, but that'll be addressed by the health department. I don't know if the health department has piped in yet on this. I did not talk to any of the reviewers. Mary, did you get a chance to talk to anybody from health?
No, I
No.
did not.
But, that's something we could do, but we did not do that at this time on.
All right, so and then then I guess my follow-up to that would be, is this something that, without consulting the health department on this, that would this be something that if we were to vote on today, could it have a greater impact moving forward? If we, let's say it does get voted in, and approved.
If this gets voting in and approved and it doesn't meet the health department requirements and they had to move it, they'd have to come back in front of the board again to get that request, because you're going to approve per plan submitted. So even if it slides down, it's a further intrusion into the setback. So I would send them back to the board if that happened.
So maybe, all right, thank you.
It's a 10-foot setback from the septic, and that's why we have it where we do. I think it's 13 feet off, but that's because that's the approximate location of the septic. And, we can probably get it, we're going to try our best to get it closer and minimize the actual, if you do approve it, minimize, maybe get that 12 down to 15 or 16 or 17, depending. We have the septic, will be staked, and we'll, mark it off 10 feet from there.
I got a question for Mr. Zach.
Yes, sir.
If the applicant modified the setback line to whatever he's saying, 15, 16, 17 feet, is that something that you can live with, or no?
Frankly, no. And the reason why is this, and I know I'm repeating myself, and please, apologies for that. But again, one of the major reasons why we bought in this zone, in this property area, in Wintergreen Hill Estates, was because of the woodsy buffer. This is our only outdoor area, is that porch, and maybe I didn't emphasize that enough. But whether it's back 2 feet, 1 feet, there will be noise, there will be people using the pool, there will be, an intrusion on a setback, which involves future property value rights. As I said to the applicant when I invited them to our house Sunday to talk about this, I said, if you came to me and told me that your septic system had failed, and that the only place you had left on your property was 12 feet from my property line to put it in, I still wouldn't want to have a septic system there for obvious reasons. However, that's something you need to live in your house. Instead, it's a pool. I'd love to have a pool. And if I had to encroach on the set aside for my neighbor's property in order to have something I wanted that would enhance my property at their expense, that's a different question. So the answer would be no. It's not whether it's 12 feet, 17 feet, 18 feet. It's the use of the variance. It's not necessary, and it's not impacting them not to have a pool. It's impacting us for them to have a pool.
I think another thing to add on to that, Joseph, would be another way to the opposite side of that could be, is there a smaller pool that could be installed to keep it at 30?
Unfortunately not. There is only a 20 by 33 that's available. They do make a smaller pool, it's just not available right now, or it won't be available like the next year, just with COVID and supply issues. It's just not possible.
No, I just thought of that based on the question that was asked.
No, and I appreciate that. That's a very, very good point.
All right, we need to bring us to close.
Something to
Yes, I will let you do that. We've got the luxury of kind of losing our our way, because we have a short agenda, but otherwise we would not. But yes, please go ahead, Lourdes.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. Hi, everyone. We are the homeowner of 25. We are actually a very young couple. We're very hardworking people, honest. I think that we are very considerate with our neighbor, all of them. We really don't want, I know that Mr. Sech is worried about that the exposure that might be by having a pool so close to his deck, which we are actually willing to do whatever has to be done, or concerns him to have this not to become a problem. We've been living here for 3 years and we never had a problem of noise. We are not, even though we're, like I said, we're young, we're not that type of people, and they know that, I believe. We have never done like a huge party, even though that when we bought this house, my husband was so happy he wanted to do it, we never did it. But I just wanted to say that if this is, it's convenient for everyone. I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that every neighbor is okay with it. We actually want our privacy. We have a 19-year-old daughter that I wouldn't want anybody, who I wouldn't like her to be seeing. We respect their privacy as well as we want our privacy to be respected. And we really don't want to bring down all the trees because that's also privacy to us. And it's not like he says. We were actually members of that pool that he says that that they mentioned that I forgot his name from across the street. That we became members and it was $3,000, like he says, which we couldn't afford every year. It was too much. So we said, you know what, might as well, why can't we just have a pool in our house and save that money? And every time that we were going to the pool with my kids, people were asking us, like, are you members? Are you guys, part of the pool? Like if we were like, aliens or something like that, I have no idea. But we felt uncomfortable. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to do it, most for my son and my daughter. Not because we want to have noise, people over, which is not, it never happened in 3 years. So I don't see why it's going to happen now from having a pool. Okay, so, I appreciate everyone listening and thank you. So hopefully,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Is there a motion to close this public hearing, 21-38?
Mr. Chairman, if I can make a comment to the board members.
Yes.
And this is just me, and it's I'm throwing it out there. Would it be better to hold off on closing this application and having the health department? I know Mr. Kelly had mentioned that there's a 10-foot clearance as far as the septic fields go to the pools being located near it. But would it be better to hold off and have the health department opine on this and make sure that they're what they have slated for construction or approval is correct or in the right place and location?
I think that's a wise decision. There's a lot of unknowns. Health department, how many trees we're talking about in an alternative location, the RF of water pumps. It might be a good idea if we continue this public hearing and ask for a little bit more of that information to be brought back to us so we can make a bit of a more informed decision. Because right now, I don't know which way it would go if we went into voting and voted, but I think we all have some concerns and some more questions that would be good to have answered before we make a decision. So I would suggest that we do that.
If allowed, then I would like to make the motion that we continue this application, application 21-38. One is get consultation from the other departments at City Hall, and I would also like to get an accurate number of trees that would need to be cut if the pool was placed at some other location of the property. I don't know if any of the other board members have anything else to add, but that's what I would like to add as a continuation of the application.
I like to add that they locate the septic system or the septic field on the map
part of that,
and
yeah.
I come back again
Yeah.
to make sure where we're going, you know, what we're looking at. This way we have a clear idea
Precise
about
picture.
where the setback line gonna be.
Yeah, and it might be a good idea if the applicant got a better idea of trees and what that might cost in terms of just for their own. It doesn't matter to us, but just for them in terms of knowing more about what decisions might have to be made. All right, there's a motion to continue this until the next meeting, which is, Mary, it is
January 13th,
January 15th.
13th.
13th, yes, or 2 weeks from then, I guess, depending on how long it would take to get some of these answers. And I think that's the best consideration we can give to all this evening. So is there a second on that motion?
I second.
A second by Mr. Han, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the meeting is continued until January 13th or the 2 weeks after that, depending on the time it takes to acquire information. And Sean, perhaps offline, the parties interested here could talk to you and just make sure we're clear on the kind of information that we'd want. We know we want to have the health departments weigh in on this. And I think a good look at alternatives and how much they do or don't affect the existing application.
So are we also, I remember that Mr. Hanna requested the accurate location of the fields.
Yes.
So the health department will look at it and they will, during their process of actually investigating it, might have that field dug up so they could take a measurement. Are we saying that you want an accurate measurement from that field, the proposed pool?
Well, this way, if they can twist it away from the setback line a little bit more, that might be a little better for, you know, we have a better idea. We can't go just per plan submitted 12 feet and then he end up making 16 feet or 17 feet. There's some kind of better map should be done too, you know.
I see your point. Okay. I think, okay.
All right. Okay. All right, that ends the public hearing part. We have a couple more bits of board business that we have before we can adjourn. So thank you all this evening. You can certainly stay around if you got nothing better to do, but the board needs to do a couple small items before we close for the evening. One of which is the acceptance of the 2022 meeting schedule. I looked it over. I checked for any conflicting dates. It's not on my anniversary. It's not on Valentine's Day. It's not on Veterans Day. I don't think any of them are any conflict anywhere. So if we have to approve this, I would ask for a motion to approve these dates for 2022.
Just a
Do you want me to go down and read all the dates for you?
I'm just gonna try to click on it here real quick and
Okay.
just do a quick over real quick.
It's the same 2 every month except for November, December, as we've always done. And like I said, I didn't see any particular holidays and we can always have a special session like we did this year if there is one down the road.
The November meeting is on the Marine Corps birthday, but since our meetings are later, since our meetings are later in the evening, I am okay with that.
Are you in shape later in the evening after the Marine Corps birthday?
I will be. I'll make
Okay.
sure that we behave that day.
All right.
Make it
Maybe we'll all celebrate with you from afar. All right. So
looks good to me.
All right. Make a motion, Juan.
All right, I make a motion to accept the schedule for 2022 as written or proposed.
I second.
Hannah seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got that taken care of. One final thing.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question here.
Yes.
On Winter Green, we reschedule that thing. We have to vote on it or no? He make a motion to.
I made a motion to continue it.
Oh, we
So
didn't
it's-
vote on it.
Yeah, to continue it.
It's still public.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll continue with any further comment from either side.
Good.
All right. Okay, according to the bylaws that we approved back in June of 2020, December is the election night with the zoning board of appeals. And we are charged by these new bylaws that we had done at that time to elect a chairman and a vice chairman for a 3-year term. And I'm just looking here because we have, let's see, we have 4 regular members. I think, and I don't see it in here for sure, but as far as voting on a chairman and vice chairman, I think only regular members can do that. Only regular members can be chair or vice chair.
Excuse me, Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
I think the term for chair and vice chair is 1 year versus 3 years for members.
That was a confusing paragraph.
It was, I agree.
Yeah. I've read that. Yeah. So let me read it. Let me read that, what
Okay.
it says. The officers of the ZBA shall consist of a chair and vice chair, both of whom shall be regular ZBA members and shall be elected by a majority vote of the ZBA, oh, only has to be a majority vote of the ZBA's regular members to serve for a 3-year term. And then it says, an annual election of officers shall take place by ballot at the regular meeting in December. I think we need some corporate counsel clarification on that.
I agree.
But
I
in the
agree.
meantime, we know we have to have an election because it's been a long time, like 40 years. So,
Do I hear a continuation?
yeah,
No.
I like that.
Let's at
I like
least get
that.
started.
Oh, man. So is there anyone who wants to nominate someone to be the chair and who that might be?
I nominate Rod for chair.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that kindness, but I'm not willing or able to serve as the chair. So I will respectfully decline. What did Linda Johnson say? I'm not going to run and I'm not going to get a write-in vote or whatever it was he said. So I have a thought. I'll return the favor, Joe. My thought is this. I'd like to nominate you for chair and Juan Rivas for vice chair. And proceed along those lines. Do you accept? Okay, good. Do you know what you're getting into? I can read the job description if you want.
Go ahead.
No, I won't. There's one thing I like. Actually, I'm not going to read it all because we know what it is: presiding and calling special meetings and appointing an alternate member to fill in when a regular member is not here. To appoint subcommittees. I don't think I've ever seen that. To establish an agenda, well, that's Mary. And to administer oaths and compel attendance of witnesses when required. Now, I've never seen that either, but Joe, you're going to have some new power if we elect you. So, all right. All right, let's vote on each one.
That's applied for 1 year.
Okay, all right.
Well, it's not what we'll get corporate counsel opinion on that. Hopefully it doesn't cost the city too much to figure that out. So, all right. I've nominated Joe for chair for chairman. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Oh,
no, I can't vote.
Yeah, that's right. You can't. You need a second from
I second.
Tony. Seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have a majority. All right. And for Juan, I make a motion to elect Juan as vice chair. Juan is a thorough student of all things zoning, and he asks good questions and shown his mettle. And he's, well, my father wouldn't appreciate this. A good Navy man, he would argue with every Marine he came across. But I will say Juan is a good Marine.
Well, Rod, I'll comfort you in saying that we were part of the men's department in the Navy.
Yeah, and so it goes. And so it goes. All right. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Tony seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you,
So we
gentlemen.
have finally elected for the first time in 42 years or however long Dick Jowdy served, a new chair and vice chair. And we'll get clarity, Joe, within the next year. It may take a year to whether it's a 1 year or a 3-year term. As just an ordinary member, I will make it my mission to get that clarified, and I'll make sure it's for 3 years.
Maybe next year you change your mind.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right. All in
A
favor?
second.
Wait a minute, who said that?
Tony
Mr.
made a motion
Rivero,
to,
yep.
Tony,
Mr.
all
Rivero, and
Second.
I think Rick, I think.
I'll second. Or
Okay,
Joe,
well,
or was it Joe?
I don't know. One of you did. Pick a number.
I
I think
second.
it was, okay, it was one. All right. All right, gentlemen, we're all in favor.
So we're talking about, we won't see each other then until after Christmas and after the new year, am I right?
That's right.
Correct.
Right.
Everybody have a Merry
Yeah.
Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Merry
Everybody is
Christmas.
well.
Merry Christmas to
Stay
everyone.
safe.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank
for-
you.
For all of your cooperation throughout the year.
Thank you.
Well, I
Yeah,
look
no
forward to just kicking back and asking questions and not worried about,
We're
who's
gonna create a new position for you, Rod, so it's gonna be something else. Resident authority or something like that.
Sergeant at Arms. I don't know.
Sergeant at Arms.
I could have used one tonight. I needed a
Fire
little
watcher.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right,
guys. All
everybody.
right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, everybody.
Mary and Sean, I'll be giving you guys a call in the next few days in regards to the Wintergreen property.